Hey everyone, welcome back for another altered video. Today we're featuring Afanas and Senka once again. It's been a while since we've showcased the deck on the channel. Um, it's been a while, back at the drawing board because the last time we played it, it didn't feel that good, so it's gone through a few updates and we'll see how we go. Whispers of the Maze, Trial by Frost are both featuring a lot more heavily in this version of the deck than it used to. They've got the Neelam Rime Frost cooldown package to help produce a few more creatures and interact with our opponent's reserve a little bit more. But we'll go through the Whispers of the Maze cards that we're trying out as well. So Scribbling Starfish, this takes up our Studious Disciple spot. So rather than using our 1-drops to reduce the cost of a future card by 1, we'll try and get a little fatty out. We'll see how that one goes, if he feels good at all. Evanescence as part of our removal package along with the Off You Goes. We've gone down 1 Off You Go and we've gone up 2 of these ones. So can't hit quite as much on the front end but gets bigger on the back end. So we'll see how that one goes. With the recursive nature of our uniques, which we have seen before, I don't know how often we're going to be playing this on the back end. As such, it may be worse in that slot, but we'll test it out, see how it goes, see if it does feel good, or not, if I'm wrong. I'm not very good at evaluating cards, so there's every likelihood that could be true. Okay. The other cards that we're showcasing from Whispers are a Sap Infusion, so pay 2 mana, give something 2 boosts. Pay 3 mana from reserve if you cast your spells, give something up to 5 boosts, obviously plus the 1 from Afanas at all times. So this does trigger Kedgear and Mage Dancer to draw just on its own for 2 mana, so we'll see if that one feels good. And then a Feast for Thought, so normally these decks run 3 Moth to a Flames. Just 3 mana and a spellcast trigger gives you a 2/2/2 mana Moth that you can buff right off the bat with the spell trigger. Feast for Thoughts also can get a 2/2/2 mana buff for 3 from your hand. But obviously has that modality as well if you need something different, but it's more expensive on the back end as well. So we'll see how it goes. Not too sure about that one. We'll see whether the sabotage and the removal are useful more often. Still running 2 small step giant leaps. With the rules change, this one has become a little worse to play. Basically, I believe the change is that your opponents now get an opportunity to catch up with their expeditions if they win when you move both of your tokens onto the same expedition. So we'll see if this one still has legs or not. Everything else is pretty straightforward. I mentioned it before, but the Neelam triggers whenever a card gets exhausted. So Rime Frost obviously triggers it, but also Moth to a Flame and Joyride do as well. Alright, I think I'm going to take a leaf out of the deck's book and off we go. Alright, I should mention before we get started, we're going to be taking this one to the ranked ladder. Not, pretty excited for that. We've got a tournament to prepare for in a few weeks, so we'll be seeing how everything goes against the best players on board game arena that we can find. Don't have too high hopes for it. I think we're not going to be afforded the space we need to eke out future wins, but if you want to beat the best, you got to play the best. And this deck is obviously not optimized. By definition, we're testing out a few cards, so one or the other will be good, and that's what we're hoping to figure out today. Alright, I'll see you in a second. We'll get cracking on with it. Good luck to me. Alrighty, here we are, game 1, with our reimagined Spelunky deck, including some Whispers of the Maze cards. We're going to be looking for spots to use those cards in particular, so maybe we'll play a bit suboptimally. possibly you can hear as well, I do have a bit of a flu, so I may re-record the intro to this one if I recover in the next day or two. Alright, we're up against Sigismar and Wingspan, and we've got a few choices here. Moth to a Flame and Mage Dancer are both good. Those are our creatures. We also have a copy of Feast of Thoughts. That one has taken up one of the spots for Moth to a Flame as well, so we've got to think about that. We're only going to have one of these left in the deck after this. Small Step Giant Leap is going to be too hard to play around this early in the game. We're going to play to the one outer we have for that one later on. We can choose either Sap Infusion or Beauty Sleep. I think... Well... Oh, got a bit of lag here. We're just talking about it, so I think we'll try and see how Feast of Thoughts goes. I'm going to refresh though. That has helped with the lag. We'll relock. All our cards have shuffled around, so Small Step, Beauty Sleep, Moth to a Flame will be better turn 2. However, we'll see if Feast of Thoughts can work this early in the game. Alright, let's play it. It is a turn 1 play that we have. Make a Mana Moth on our companion side and it'll get the boost from casting the spell, which is nice. Our opponent knows that they've got whatever else they want to do. They're probably going to play a 1-drop here. There it is. They'll take a double advance against our 1. Do want to note here as well, we're playing on the ranked ladder. So we're playing against slightly better players than we normally do. You know, sometimes we play the janky decks, so we don't always want to just run into things that'll give us no space to do the fun things we plan on doing. But we're testing for a tournament as well, so let's see how this goes. Got a little while for that one, but I'm really looking forward to it, to be honest. Alright. Alright, we can't play our Feast for Thoughts. We can play any 2 of our other cards as well here though. So I'm thinking a Mage Dancer plus a Sap Infusion lets us draw another card. We are going to have to get something from... send something to the bin from reserve, because we'll have 3 at the end of this turn. So we're going to have a decision to make there. However, we're still going to go with it. We get to see what our opponent wants to do first here. I'm not exactly sure what it is that we want to see. Do we want to see an Ordis Carrier dropped using the Foundry mechanic? That'd give them the chance to play the Frog Prince as well. And we've both advanced into just green, so they're going to get max value out of that one if they play it on the companion side, something we can potentially deal with if that is their play. So let's see, how many boosts does Mage Dancer get from Sap Infusion here? It'll get 1 from itself, 2 from the card effect, and then 1 extra 1 coming from the spell cast for Afanas. Oh, we had a little take backsies from our opponent here. I see the Frog Prince get dropped on the companion side. Nope, they're recommitting. Let's see what they want to do. Alright, they're very indecisive. Let's see if it's third time lucky for him. They may want to just play. What did they say? Je ne peux pas jouer l'effet de support. Okay, they've played an order spy. How do you say sorry in French? I'm going to ask them if they can speak English, but my French is very poor. Ça va is how are you? I'm going to Google it quickly. Désolé. Okay, they've played that one. So we're going to stick to our plan. We will target the Mage Dancer. Now, Sap Infusion is contending against Joyride, which has the unfortunate issue of being a rare. Oh, another one of our cards, Evanescence. That may be used to get rid of a Frog Prince. I'm going to say sorry, English. We'll thank them for speaking English. Do we keep the Starfish or the Spindle Harvesters? I'm actually going to try and keep the Spindle Harvesters here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could play the Sap Infusion again, but that doesn't get us any counters for it. I believe we'll choose to play the Mage Dancer out here if they want to sabotage once again. Alright. They've played out their Monolith, so they could have played the Monolith next turn, unless they drew it just then. I'm actually wondering, okay, so if we play Sap Infusion here, we'll draw a card. I think that's more important than buffing the Spindle Harvesters next turn, 1, 2, but we do get a chance to target it with the Afanas trigger and still get our draw. Okay, so Sap Infusion actually looks pretty good, at least in the situation that we've had so far. We'll pass turn. Blizzard is going to be very good here too. We are ahead by an expedition, which we do expect, having had our opponent drop the Monolith. The issue that we're going to find here is that we are struggling for creatures. We'll get rid of the Joyride. We could put the Magical Training into reserve for that one, just to draw an additional card, but I actually like the other cards that we have on the field here. I'm expecting a 1-for-1 trade with our opponent here. So we'll play the Neelam, exhaust their frog, force them to play from hand. We'll play the Manamoth over here. So, we've got two options here really. We can either play Magical Training or the Evanescence. That's the one I'm looking at here. Because what it'll do is if they play a 2-drop, we can exhaust and force them to play out both cards from their hand. Alright, Order Spy. Okay, so that... Now, there was a recent change to what tokens do here. I don't believe we get a chance to exhaust the card because the recruit now just disappears straight away. It doesn't hit reserve before that. We draw Baba Yaga. If they have a 1-drop in hand, I guess they can play it to double advance here, which is going to be not good for us. However, Blizzard and Evanescence both... Okay, so they've evened it up, but Blizzard and Evanescence both actually trigger the Neelam here, which we do like to see. Red is good, Rime Frost might be good as well. So I think we keep our removal spells in hand. Evanescence only hitting 2 drops is rough here. Alright, we're going to have to give up on a little bit of power to exhaust the Order Spy, create a Manamoth on our companion side. So if our opponent plays the Frog Prince, it doesn't actually stop us from advancing, which is good. We do like that. Generally, our opponent advancing is disadvantageous to us in terms of game win percentage. They do see it as well, but we are okay with that. Okay, our opponent is either making a decision or forgot that they have to pass over priority to us. I think that Rime Frost was good. Having the Neelam out means we do actually get the value out of our Afanas trigger, which is good. I didn't actually know that. So, what does our turn look like? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14. So we can play some combination of Red, Evanescence, and Rime Frost, or Magical Training. Playing the Spindle Harvest here doesn't actually benefit us at all. And if we use both of our spells to target red, we actually get one of them back. So one of them will have to be Evanescence. We target the Spindle Harvesters. Good. That's not what I wanted anyway. We shall draw with the magical training. Go away, you stinky error. Tooth Fairy. We're going to target red here. They're going to have to be expecting some form of removal spell, but they also could have access to teamwork training, which is going to be devastating for us. Okay, they had their 4 characters, so Evanescence actually would have been better to play early here. It would have stopped them from creating the Orders recruits. We'll target the... Okay, so we can't actually do anything here. That's disappointing. That's alright though. Okay. So we had no removal for the monolith, which is really what's sort of bending us over. Obviously that Legate was really good for them too. Now we're playing a bit of an uphill battle. Blizzard has not looked good here. Would have been really good if we got to play it then. Alright, they get rid of the Legate. Nothing from hand for that. We've got 2 Tooth Fairies here, so we'll confirm. What can we get done here? We could Rime Frost, Tooth Fairy, Blizzard. Perfectly reasonable from our opponent. Does cost us our 3 plus the Blizzard. We'll see what the second Neelam does. We'll exhaust the Spy. I think we're gonna fall just short here though. Yes, we definitely fall just short here. That's alright. We'll forfeit. So we fell just a bit short here, sort of ran out of gas with the Blizzard. Our opponent just had it over us. That's alright though. Got some ideas for that that blue deck that we may want to play as well. The small mistake that we did end up making, had we Evanescenced before casting... What did we end up casting? It's not going to be in there. That'd be silly. But we're going to check this one anyway. Before our magical training. There you go. That's what we did. We should have removed their spell first and then kept the magical training in hand, I believe. Alrighty. That's okay though. On to the next one. Alrighty, here we are, game 2 with our Spelunky deck. Some good showings from some of the cards, some poor showings. We're up against Nevenka and Blotch, and they will be playing first. Let's see what our opening hand has for us. After that last match, I thought I'd just chat a second. Joyride and Off You Go might be good here. We're obviously not going to want to play that from reserve for 4 mana. But we do have access to one of our better spell bouncers in the Studious Disciple. If they remove it immediately, obviously not much we can do about that. That's not going to be likely in pink. But on the previous game, I'm never too mad after a game if it came down to user error. If there's a play or something where I can clearly identify something I could have done better, obviously I've learned something and I'm really happy about that. And it means the fault is not in deck building. Those sort of losses can feel a bit disappointing when you don't really have anything. You feel like you could have done better and you're still lost. So we'll think about that one. Sap Infusion seems really good with our red. Do you want to keep that around? We'll get rid of Tooth Fairy, and we're going to have to get rid of one of these 3 spells. Joyride's not playable turn 1. We have a really weak turn 1 here, actually. We're just going to have to hope that our opponent's cards line up well against the stats that our Disciple employs. I think the Joyride is the one to remove here. Another option we could have had was to just send whatever they play to the bin straight away. Would have been pretty funny. Bliss Guitarist. Alright, that's good. We're going to play our Disciple there, and if they have a 1-drop, they have a 1-drop. Nothing we can do about it. They roll a 3, get a boost, doesn't matter. Because we still both get to advance. Do they play another card? They pass. We're gonna sit on this window here a little bit, just to let them think that we've got something in hand we could play. Pretend as if we're deciding whether it's worth going down a card to move along here. Obviously we don't have a 1-drop creature, otherwise we'd just play that for the advance. They get a bit of card advantage there. That's pretty good. Spindle Harvesters and Evanescence. Right, Evanescence lines up well against their Guitarist, as does Off You Go. And I'm actually going to go against the philosophy of the deck as we're playing it today and get rid of the Evanescence. I think it's just worse than Off You Go here. Because we're going to be trying to return it to hand anyway with the Disciples. Which we will play. If they want to get rid of it straight away, they're welcome to. The stage. Alright, so the Lyra version of this, songs or artists, get a performance counter. The next card you play this turn loses fleeting. Alright, we'll put them under pressure here. We'll play a Spindle Harvesters. We've still got 2 mana open for each of our spells. And if they want to block us with a creature, they're totally welcome to. Alright, off you go. Send it to the bin. Confirm that one. We'll put the boost on our Disciple so we get that card back at the end of the turn. Plays. We can pass, we get a bit of value out of our Harvester. Obviously it would have been good to put a boost on that for next turn. We'll put that back in hand. Now this Sap Infusion that we've got in hand. Oh, there's our Mage Dancer, that's pretty good. Now, the card I most want to get rid of here is the Magical Training. Because I think the other three cards are just better. Obviously, Mage Dancer plus Sap Infusion draws us the card from training anyway. And Off You Go was good and will remain good. As long as they have 2 to 3 drops in reserve, we can see that we're going to be able to get use out of it. But if we do that, we're going to have 3 1-drops in hand. If our Spindle Harvesters was in reserve and we could play it and maximise the use of our mana, this wouldn't even be a question. I'd just send the Magical Training, and I probably still am, but it is a decision that needs to be made. Sap Infusion is going to be good with the Mage Dancer, so we've already established that. Off You Go, also good. I think we just play for tempo here a little bit. Lyra Contortionist. They get a boost. It's going to be able to play one of those. If they do play one, it's going to be a 3-1-3, but they won't be able to contest on this side, so we will still get a double advance. Okay, so they do go for it. Nothing they can do. We could Off You Go, but instead we shall Sap Infusion, targeting our Mage Dancer. 1, 2, 3. Gets a boost. Give a boost to the Harvester, so we'll advance on that side as well. And they're going to have to target the Contortionist. They do get the boost. They stop us from moving. That's okay. Obviously, we had a bit of our deep dive into Nevenka and Blotch not too long ago. Oh, there you go. Do we get to see what that card is? Not really. Disappointing. I believe in paper you would be perfectly within your rights. Perfectly within your rights to request to read that card before it goes into their hand. Conjuring Seal is looking pretty poor here. That's a one-of that we have in the deck. It's kind of just like, if we find a situation for it, if we're going to lose anyway, we'll move on. I think what we'll do is we'll play the Mage Dancer on this side. Magical Training. Unfortunately, our Mage Dancer lines up poorly into the Bliss Guitarist here. They have the 2 boosts, so it can't get any stronger. We could buff it to 5, but that'll just match. So we're actually going to double up on the hero side here. Just go and lock in that 1-for-1 trade. Let's see, what do we do? If we play the Sap Infusion, we'll target the I think we're just going to lock in, target the Mage Dancer, give this one a whole bunch of boosts. We're going to give the boost to the smaller of the Mage Dancers. So they get their boost, so if they have a copy of Cloth Cocoon in hand, Guitarist, okay. Nothing we could have done about that one with the amount of mana that we had going. I'll bounce one of their spells. Take the Magical Training. Alright, nothing happened that turn, but we did go down on cards. Scribbling Starfish. Is this a spot for that card? I think we play the Neelam here. Exhaust the Inkcaster. We'll make a Mana Moth on our... Oh, it's pretty annoying that those have switched around. Nearly gave them a Moth. Alright, the rest of our turn, we're not going to be able to get an extra card draw out of our Mage Dancer. Bliss Bassist. We'll play our Starfish and just threaten on that side. They're going to play the Contortionist. Loses Fleeting. We have to play our Off You Go here. How does that look for us? If we get rid of the Bliss Bassist, it's going to put the Guitarist into play. Doesn't really matter. Actually. We're going to play the Off You Go anyway, and I think we target the Contortionist here. No. Yeah, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it anyway. So whatever they play, they can play on this side. So I think we'll target the Mana Moth. Confirm that one. And the reason we're doing that is that if they play something on the companion side and then target the Bliss Bassist on the other side, they still can't advance. We're happy to take a 1-for-1 here. What is this? That is a song. Wish I could read that card before it disappeared. Much more likely to replace the Off You Go, but they get to discard a card first. It's the Bassist. If they discarded the Contortionist, they'd have to discard something else, so that one was obviously staying. Moth to a Flame and Spindle Harvesters. We've got two creatures here, so I'm actually going to keep the Moth to a Flame. We don't have any way to exhaust to get something out of our Neelam here. They have a lot more cards than us, but we might be able to just be able to sneak under. Reasonable from them. We'll play it on the companion side here because they're presenting 5 power. Potentially 6. We'll double up with the Moth. Oh, we're going to come up short. That's disappointing. we're going to play our starfish here. And what that's going to do, unless they have a 1-drop in hand, it's going to force them to have to play onto the side, trade 1 for 0, instead of 2 for none, which is worse, significantly worse for us. Twinkle, twinkle. We have to pass, they get to win. They get to play something here as well and double up. Alright, pretty good turn from them. So they've evened it up. We'll have to see if we can leverage this mana moth into something. Presenting removal and enough mana to contest on both sides. Obviously they've got a lot more cards than us as well, so we are on struggle street. We've sort of floundered at the end, trying to get to our small step win con. I believe there were recently rules changes around when victories are checked. So we'll have to see if this is worth playing still. Never actually cast it after. Alright, we'll pass the turn, we'll stay on our mana, we're only really using so much of it. Doesn't really matter which side we pick, but we'll boost the one where they present less power. These expeditions have proved troublesome for us. We're going to boost on our other moth. Make our 3rd mana moth for turn, and then they get to do what they want to do. There you go. Now you get a choice. Reasonable choice. Now they know they get to do whatever they want. This seems pretty powerful. Stage plus Incaster plus some sort of draw spell. They'll roll it for an anchor there, didn't get it. 403. Alright, fell short again. That's okay. What are we doing wrong? Maybe it is in deck building. Maybe I'm just playing bad. I don't know. Not been getting a lot of sleep lately. GG's to our opponent. There you go. Alright, 0 and 2 to start. Let's see if we can finish strong. Okay, so like I was talking about at the start of the game, that that one felt worse. I feel like we played pretty good. I feel like we played to the choices that we had. Still came up short. Maybe it's luck. Who knows? We will soon though, when we get more reps with the deck. Alright, on to game 3. Alrighty, and here we are, game 3, with our somewhat playtest Afanas and Senka deck. 0-2 so far, trying to avoid that clean reverse sweep, and we'll see who we're up against. We're playing first, which is nice to see, and our opponent's just choosing what deck they want to play. It's a long list of cards there, 21 different cards in the list. You know, so we'll see if we can find spots for anything. Small Step Giant Leap has been poor for us. Haven't had a chance to action that one, and it has come at some discernible cost. We're up against Rin and Orchid. Alright, let's see. Oh, Starfish. Alright, we're getting rid of the Small Step Giant Leap. The turn 1 is not the place for that. I think we're going to try this. Red has been less good for us since Helping Hand disappeared. Obviously the synergy with that card was very important to her being good. Now we've got an option. We can either just play the Moth to a Flame, risk getting blown out by our opponent beating us on one side. We can play slow and see if the Starfish does any work. Got 3/3/2 stats if we play that plus red. I think we'll play the Moth on the hero side. So let's get the boost. Moth has been good with the Neelam. I think a lot of decks are being built around that sort of synergy. Alright, we'll pass the turn. We lose that one with the Daughter of Yggdrasil, but we do draw an extra card, so we're happy with that. Okay, we would have got something decent out of that Tooth Fairy had we kept it. Evanescence does not hit Daughter or Moonadruid, as it were. And what are we going to look at here? Red, we can't trigger Red's reserve ability this turn. Nor can we find a way to buff Mage Dancer if they just play what they have access to. Sorry, little guy. We'll keep him. We'll get rid of the Spindle Harvester and see if the Starfish can do something good here. Now this locks us into only playing one more card this turn, so we'll see what our opponent chooses to do. And I think we're just going to pass. Now we could have played something. We know the Druid is going to get anchored here. I have no access to removal that hits it just yet. But we do take a 1-for-1, which is alright. I'm going to have to find some mode for this deck that that really pushes us ahead or catches us up with advantage. What shall we do?
believe we will start with a Mage Dancer. We can trigger it this turn. We see an Isunboshi. Gonna have to get rid of a lot of cards for reserve for this. We're going to be in an interesting spot because depending on what our opponent so chooses to do, could play the Starfish, or we could play Magical Training and gain our 2 boosts as well. And I think we're incentivized to do that, because it means we draw an additional card off of the Mage Dancer. Okay, they're going to take a 2 for 2 here. We'll pass 2 for 1, sorry, and we'll pass the turn. You give a lot of things anchored. Reasonable. Alright, we did draw an Off You Go, plus the 2 Evanescences. But we are 2 expeditions behind, and very far behind on board as well. So we're likely to go behind here. Now, do we keep the Starfish? We keep the Moth. Both represent 3 points worth of stats for 2 mana. I think the Spellcaster is more valuable to us at this point in time. Okay, Beauty Sleep is good too. We're getting rid of one of the Evanescences. Can hit the Isunboshi too. Play the Mage Dancer, see what our opponent wants to do. They're going to get another anchored trigger off of their Boshi. We've got 3 remaining mana, so a Beauty Sleep and an Off You Go, or an Evanescence. What can we achieve here? I think we hit the Contortionist here. Get rid of the anchored for that. We'll confirm here and they get to pass. We will Beauty Sleep. I should have used Evanescence targeting the Contortionist there. That's foolish of me. I'm not playing tight.
Get rid of the beauty sleep and the having high hopes for this. Off you go. Alright, easy choice. We get rid of one of the tooth fairies. Really feeling that bleed, because if we could have got rid of the daughter of Yggdrasil here, we actually wouldn't be in such a bad spot. Five mana. What can we get done here? I think we attempt to trade 1-for-1, but I think we're falling a bit too far behind here. That's alright. This has been a humbling experience. Back to the drawing board with Izmir, it seems. We're not going to get maximum value out of our red here. Our opponent may choose to just play the Moona Druid. Yeah, this is rough. Alright, I've chosen the Persephone. What does that accomplish? I'm going to represent 7. We can only get to 6. We do take what's given to us. And we just lose. Alright. 3 concessions. GG's. Alright. A very disappointing outing for jumping into the ranked ladder. I thought we'd do a little bit better than that. But that's alright. Probably shouldn't have brought a playtest deck in there anyway. Off you go would have been a lot better there had we not flubbed on that one. So that's important to remember if we are to bring this deck to a paper event. But we'll go back to the drawing board. I've got some ideas. I know what kind of works and what doesn't. We'll see if we can figure out a list that works for us. Some things worked, some things didn't. We'll do that. We'll cover all of that in the debrief. Alrighty. Apologies. You know, a lot of misplays in there. Probably should have waited till I was feeling a little bit better to play. However, I was feeling it. I was excited. And yeah, see you in a second. Love your work. Alrighty, and there we have it. A disappointing 0-3 record against our opponents today. Got beaten by Sigismar, Nevenka and Blotch, and a Rin and Orchid deck. A few misplays throughout that I probably shouldn't make and hopefully won't make in the future as a result now. So we've learnt from that one, you know, very valuable opportunity to play against people. Alright, so the Starfish did not feel super great to play. Sitting in reserve, taking up that spot, we did have to make the choice whether to keep it around or get rid of it. And I think, you know, it's probably one of the more easy cards to justify dropping into the bin if it's there against some other things that you've got in the deck. So I think we might go back to the Studious Disciples and use those as the reserve ability. Use the reserve ability of those a little bit. Spindle Harvesters, I wasn't too impressed with as well. Usually we had something else that we could, um, it found to be more useful to buff when it was hanging around. But I think it might have play. Maybe I'm just using it wrong. Tooth Fairy, Mage Dancer, Baba Yaga, all pretty reasonable to keep around. I mentioned that we did have a rare copy of Conjuring Seal in here. Actually, I don't know if I mentioned that in the deck tech. It was a while ago now. That's alright. We had one copy of Conjuring Seal. Pay 4 mana, draw 3 cards. Not too impressed with that one. Obviously, it's a pretty big investment. Causes you to probably give up on at least one expedition on the day that you use it. So you're trying to find places where you're not winning anyway, which is not a situation where you would like to be in if you can avoid it. Evanescence, surprisingly handy and misused, I would say, in the videos today. I believe there were situations in both the Ordis and Muna matchups where using this a little earlier in our sequencing would have been good. However, I don't think it's as valuable as an off you go. So if I were to split these in the 4 that we had, I believe it would be 3 off you go, 1 Evanescence, and even then that's not potentially not the decision that I would have made anyway. Could go down to 3 and keep something else like a Banishing Gate, so you've got more play against those pesky permanents rather than just keeping them around and trying to play over the top. We did not get to cast Blizzard, and I think that's probably user error as well. We had situations where it would have been good, but trying to maximize our value or be a bit too patient with it did cost us at points as well. So this one may be more playable than I give it credit for. What else? Small Step is coming out. I think the golden age of that card is probably done. Having either more interaction, more creatures, or more card draw is probably suitable in that slot. And then the last 2 cards we have from Whispers are Sap Infusion and Feast of Thoughts. I did like this one. I don't know whether it's better than Joyride. Obviously there were situations where, and I believe we just used it as an after you effect, as we didn't have a card in a reserve to get the full value out of Joyride. So I actually think this one is playable. I can show you the rare version as well. If we drop the Joyrides, we could potentially look at playing Sap Infusion at the rare as well. So for 1 mana you get 2 boosts, and then when you play the back end of it, gives you up to 4, and it goes across multiple creatures. So protects against removal a little bit, but we'll come back to that one. Alright, where's our deck? Alright, and then Feast for Thoughts. I think this would be good as a pseudo fourth copy of Moth to a Flame. I don't think it's worth going down to 2 to play 1, but having it as a modal spell and something to do in the back end or a target for removal from reserve would be good as well. Keeps other stuff around that you might want to protect. Wasn't in my best form this week. Wasn't thinking through my plays as I normally would. A little bit tired, bit sick, but that's no excuse. We learnt something from that anyway, and this will be a good one to look back on and do deck review for. This one will probably feature sooner rather than later, along with Sigismar and Wingspan, as those are the 2 decks I'm considering taking to this tournament. And as such, we'll probably cut down on the funny things we can showcase. Try and play towards the top end of our deck building and playability. But we're going to get reps on this. Either way, it's going to be an iterative process, and I hope you join me for it. I'm really excited, and I think there's a deck here. We just got to try and figure out what cards go in it, what cards are best, and at what ratios. And that's the thing I think's fun about the game. Most deck building games, actually. So thank you for joining us. I'm sorry I did not get to showcase any victories or any particularly funny plays, but we will follow this process along and see how it is that we do. Alright, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, check back in next week. Very much appreciated. Love your work. Bye bye.